Before the body screams, it whispers. Subtle fatigue, a quiet heaviness, a sense that something is slightly off but easy to ignore. What if those whispers are not inconveniences but invitations? Today, we are listening more closely to what the body is trying to tell us. Welcome to the Wellness ReImagined, where we question outdated narratives and explore a more intelligent, integrated approach to health and longevity. I'm your host, Shreya, and today I'm joined by Alejandra Garcia, a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and longevity specialist who reversed her own biological age by more than 8 years after experiencing early menopause and burnout. She is the creator of the Midas Method and the founder of Sol Garcia Health, where she helps high performing women understand that aging isn't decline, it's strategy. In this conversation, we are exploring what happens when your body whispers and how understanding those signals can change everything. Welcome, Alejandra. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Welcome. Thank you so much. So great to be on here. Super excited for our conversation.
Thank you so much. And Alejandra, before your body demanded your attention, what were the first whispers you remembered? And how did you interpret them in at that time?
Sure, sure. My story before I fell into menopause was just very, just not feeling like myself. I felt like something was off, which is something that many of my clients also say. And my zest for life was diminishing. And, on the outside, I look super healthy and fit. I was exercising, very active. So I would say, initially it was very undramatic, kind of boring, my symptoms for perimenopause. Um, but then I noticed that some in the beginning stages of perimenopause, there was adrenaline surges. So rather than feeling tired, I would actually get these power, like energy surges at random times of the day, rapid heartbeat, mind racing, waking up to have to go, pee in the middle of the night, and just more difficulty falling asleep. So all of those little things added up, including nervousness and just inconsistent energy. The first red flag for me um, was just having to crash and stay in bed for a day or 2 a month. That was, like, the first real symptom where I'm like, "I think something's not right. It's not normal for me to just have no energy for a day or 2, every month." And to when I look back now, it actually felt kinda good to have that extra adrenaline energy, because then I would get more stuff done. So it actually felt pretty good at that same time. So those were the initial whispers, and the main thing that caught me to question this was just having to, like, the burnout every month. It took some time before I noticed that pattern.
Yes, thank you for sharing this with us. And also, I'm curious what the women most often misunderstand about early symptoms like fatigue, hormonal shifts, or subtle inflammations.
Right. So the thing that women should understand is that there are over 100 symptoms for perimenopause, and we were all so unique. And so it's important for us to have, for example, a baseline of understanding how our normal body rhythm. So understanding what is our normal resting heart rate, what is, when we are active, what is that heart rate? What is our normal sleeping hours, and aiming to be consistent with that, including our body temperature. So when a woman owns her data, she knows what's normal for her and can better judge when things are out of whack.
Yeah. I think that reframing feels really empowering and symptoms not as failures but as intelligent feedbacks. And also, at a deeper level, what's usually driving these whispers beneath the surface, cellularly or systemically?
Yes, yes. So, it's normal for our body to, especially a woman's body, to have a shift hormonally, you know, even years before menopause actually comes on. The stage of perimenopause can last up to 10 years. And so we need to be in tune with our energy, cognitive function, exercise tolerance, because those are insights as to, our hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone starting to shift. And, yeah, and that's important to, in certain life phases. So that's gonna be the childbearing years where we wanna focus on fertility, metabolic health, like insulin resistance, blood sugar levels, as well as your hormone balance then. Premenopause, yes, we wanna support muscle strength, metabolic health again, and stress resilience. That's so important, to include sleep, consistent sleep, and even an increased need of sleep. Especially if we think of those are the childbearing, still childbearing years where, we're taking care of others. And then perimenopause, we want to start thinking about adjusting exercise, fasting, and hormone support to balance the shifting estrogen and progesterone levels. And one of the key things that, just to throw in, is the importance of sunlight exposure to maintain a good circadian rhythm. And so that allows you to have better quality sleep, and the sun, a natural sun exposure, you know, tells your brain that, oh, it's time to wake up, it's time to, go to sleep. And so we need those light cues in addition to avoiding, screens, blue light in the evening so that we can better produce melatonin, the sleep hormone, to allow us to go to sleep. And then finally, menopause, we want to focus on muscle retention, your cardiovascular health, your cognitive function. And then the last phase, postmenopause, yeah, prioritize strength training, bone health, and definitely detoxification of the body.
It's really striking how often the body is responding not just to biology but to years of stress, pressure, and adaptations. And also, how do these early signals tend to show up in the lives of high performing women, especially those who are used to pushing through?
Yes, yes. One of the first things that women complain about, is carrying extra weight, especially, in the lower abdomen area. And that's a sign, metabolic health is not, needs to be improved. So looking at blood sugar, meal timing is very important. Also, your response to stress. Many women will often even complain of, oh, it just seems more difficult to, I used to get all of this done in a day. Now life just feels more difficult, to complete my work for the day, for example. And many often complain of anxiety, increased anxiety, and, poor mood. And that also makes sense, because when we think of, especially in menopause, the brain is essentially rewiring itself, where women are actually getting an upgrade into, their mental, cognitive function and so forth. And so that is incredible transformation that we women have the opportunity during this menopause stage. And so for that reason, women require different strategies, for health optimization, cellular optimization. And so that could include, hormone testing, dietary adjustments, different tools for stress management, and also looking at, ability to break down excess estrogen or histamine levels in the body, and definitely, just overall different strategies for exercise, meal timing, intermittent fasting, recovery, the need for recovery, the need to slow down, and detoxification. And that allows you to, be better in tune with your body to give it what it needs rather than striving to power through.
Yeah, I think that pattern feels so familiar, especially functioning well on the outside while quietly depleting on the inside. And Also, for someone who's listening and who senses those whispers but doesn't know where to start, what is a grounded first step toward understanding their body better?
Yeah, I definitely recommend a saliva test. I know blood work is the gold standard for testing your hormone levels. The reason why I like saliva test is because you also get information as to your circadian rhythm, your HPA axis function, so that again that gut brain connection that tells us about how your body is handling stress. And so the saliva test will not just give you the levels of those hormones, progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, but also melatonin and the metabolites. So, how are those hormones being broken down and used in the body? And are they being effectively, excreted, or is there excess estrogen that's being recirculated in the body? So you get a lot more comprehensive information if you do a saliva test. So that's a great first step.
Yeah, that shift from overriding the body to partnering with it feels like wellness reimagined in real time. And also when progress feels slow or old patterns surface, what helps women stay consistent without slipping into frustration or self blame?
Oh, self blame. Yes, for sure. Um, Yeah, I would say, yeah, the mindset piece is really, really important. And that's often where I start with all of my clients, just because we know that your beliefs about your health and how you are aging are so important because they really set you up for success or difficulty when it comes to making new changes, creating new habits for your life. So I like to focus on, identifying what are your views of aging, what are your views of your body, how you look at yourself, and then going through those one by one. And so some of the tools that I my clients like to use include everything from breath work to meditation, journaling, and so forth, along with all the basic things like having a consistent bedtime routine, waking up and getting direct sunlight within the first hour of waking up, and then having consistent meal times, at least 3 meals a day, and so forth.
Yeah, I think that patience honors the body space, healing as a conversation and not as a command. And also, like, if the body isn't breaking down but communicating, what do you think it has been asking women to hear for years?
Oh, right. So, yes, when the body's screaming, the symptoms are getting louder and louder. Yeah, usually the body is asking for number one, support with vital, key missing nutrients of the body, such as magnesium and other minerals, zinc, vitamin D. Those are all things that we should have baseline measures, and that way we can accurately determine how much vitamin D do we need, both from our food, not just supplements. I like to focus on food first. But yeah, that's definitely one of the key things that the body is asking for. It's asking for slowing down, adding more time for recovery. And women require 20 minutes to 1 hour more sleep than men on average. And this is due to hormonal fluctuations, increased sensitivity to stress, and greater cognitive demands. And so, the risks of not having adequate sleep are gonna all right away impair your recovery resilience. We know that, but also reduced progesterone production, as well as increased cortisol levels. And so those are some of the things that the body is asking for. Definitely nourishing the body consistently. Women are more sensitive to stress. If we forget to eat breakfast and we're fasting inadvertently, and then we want to think about modifying those. If we are fasting, we want to modify those based on perhaps your menstrual cycle to improve adherence and results. And those are some of the things that the body is asking for, in addition to just cleaning up your environment. And that's so important. Women might be detoxing more slowly due to several reasons. As we age, our liver function can be less adequate than what it used to be when we were younger, right? So poor liver function is going to be one reason why women may be detoxing more slowly, and that's going to translate to slowing down toxin clearance, including including excess estrogen in the body. um, Another reason is higher body fat percentage. Toxins are stored in the fat, and this includes heavy metals. And yet another reason would be estrogen dominance, and women will detox more slowly because that excess estrogen is impairing the detoxification pathways. And I mentioned cleaning up the environment. If we have we women tend to use a lot of personal care products compared to men. In addition, we're exposed to a lot more cleaning supplies, fragrance maybe. And so women are more exposed to all of this, and those are known endocrine disruptors, especially fragrances, perfumes. And so those are additional things that the body has to detox. And so endocrine disruptors, for example, can also include plastics. So when I teach my clients, especially my female clients, you want to reduce or eliminate the use of plastic containers, which we know have parabens, phthalates, and BPA. And these are known to disrupt hormone balance and, I guess, again, impair detoxification pathways. And so, and women will even have an even higher risk factor if there's a higher fat storage, which is just going to allow additional accumulation of toxins and slow down the detoxification pathways.
Yes, that is really, really wonderful. And thank you for sharing this. And also, like after burnout or maybe chronic illness, many women feel betrayed by their own bodies. So, how do you help them rebuild the trust after that rupture?
Yes, yes. Nervous system regulation is super important. In addition to the mindful practices I mentioned earlier, meditation, breath work, yoga. But yes, a regulated nervous system is super foundational for rebalancing the body, because we're doing all of the biochemical work. We're looking at, the hormones in gut health, immune function, digestion, detoxification, energy production. And then for nervous system, yes, we can support the nervous system with stress. Um, Herbs like adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha or rhodiola, but the women's stress response is uniquely influenced by hormonal fluctuations. And this includes, throughout the menstrual cycle. But just chronic stress alone can impair thyroid, adrenal, and your reproductive function, which is going to impact long term vitality. And let's not forget inflammation, right? So even just low level but chronic stress is gonna keep the body in that fight or flight. And so some of the tailored strategies are gonna include nutritional and lifestyle adjustments to support the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis. That is what alerts the brain to create cortisol when it's stressed out, right? Also, tracking your symptoms to personalize your recovery and tracking HRV. Some of the additional strategies, in the biohacking realm would include cold plunging. A lot of women that I work with like to, I encourage them to start with just face a cold face plunge rather than a whole body plunge. But sauna and would also be helpful, and just being cognizant that, training too hard might actually disrupt hormonal balance if the nervous system resilience is low. So we want to be gentle with ourselves and allow ourselves to more time to recover and practice more gentle, aligned practices, for example.
That's really amazing. And this is truly a wonderful conversation with you. Thank you so much for sharing so much about this very important topic that we often just ignore or maybe avoid. So, and if after this my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
Yes, yes. So my website is solgarciahealth.com. Also, I'm very active in Instagram, and my handle is solgarcia.health. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, and I will make sure to attach all these details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you. And to all my listeners, there is a reflection question for you today. What might change if you treated your body's whisper not as interruptions but as guidance? And remember, true wellness begins when we listen early, respond wisely, and recognize that the body is always communicating in our favor. Thank you for being a part of the Wellness Reimagined. May today remind you that your body is not betraying you, it's guiding you. Until next time, listen closely, honor your physiology, and choose a smarter way to thrive. And do not forget to hit the follow button and feel free to reach out us and to comment because your ears deserve premium content. Thank you.